Hey Flower Tribe, it's Kelly Lehman from Cranberry Fields Flower Farm, and today I want to answer another Flower Tribe member's question, and that is, do hydrangeas like full sun or shade? And so I'm going to jump right in with that because there are different types of hydrangeas that have different types of sun exposure needs. And so right now I'm standing with a whole bunch of my mophead hydrangeas. These are one of my absolute favorite hydrangeas because they're nice and bright and colorful, and they can turn from like blue to pink and pink to blue and purple. And know that I made a video showing you guys how to actually change the color of your mophead hydrangeas. But here's the thing. So mophead hydrangeas, like your Endless Summer, like your Nikos, they're spectacular, but they really do prefer to have between 6 to 8 hours of morning sun, like at least 6 to 8 hours of morning sun. And then they really benefit from afternoon shade, because what happens is that if you don't have that afternoon shade, they're going to start to burn up, or they're going to get really washed out. The colors are going to get washed out, and they're not going to be really happy. And I'll show you some of my mophead hydrangeas that I do have planted in like 10 hours of sun or 11 hours of sun. And the reason that I put them there was like I just didn't have that many shady spots in my flower farm. So I was just kind of experimenting to see if maybe I could water more, or, you know, see what happens when they're there. But I'll show you what they look like. They're not doing as well as the ones that do get the afternoon shade. So I'm going to slide in some pictures now of the hydrangeas that have that 6 to 8 hours of sun. They're beautiful. They're going to dry out. These are a lot of the flowers in this flower cart are from the ones that had that afternoon shade. And this is one of my Nico hydrangeas. I mean, this is a dried flower right now. So it stayed nice and bright. And it's actually going to be a beautiful dried flower now that's going to last, you know, for a really long time in the vase, probably the whole year. And if they have that afternoon shade, it gives them a chance to kind of recover, to dry on the stem. This is what my Nico hydrangeas look like. They get about 8 hours of morning sun, and then they have a whole bunch of afternoon shade. And they stay nice and bright and gorgeous, and they don't get all burnt out because they have the protection of that afternoon shade. This is what my Endless Summer look like. They also have that morning sun and then the afternoon shade. So they get like 6 to 8 hours of morning sun, and then they're covered in shade for the rest of the afternoon, and they stay nice and fresh. So guys, these Endless Summers are in a lot of sun. Like they get about 10 hours of full sun, and you can tell that they burn up a bit because it's just too much sun for them. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world. It still gives me beautiful blooms. But what I'm going to do is kind of cut out some of these dried, crispy ones. And I'm actually not going to cut this bloom off the plant right now. If it's totally dry and crispy, it's a good idea to give that bloom a deadhead right above a set of fresh leaves. And this way it doesn't stress out the plant so much. But if it kind of looks like it's just semi-crispy, you can just remove some of those little dead, you know, florets. And then what happens is this will still dry out to a beautiful dried cut flower if you just leave it on the stem, and hopefully temperatures will cool off, and then I'll be able to use this as a dried flower, you know, like portions of it in just a few weeks. But for the most part, a lot of these did burn up. When they get like really crispy and really brown, I will deadhead them from the plant. And so that's the story with the mophead. So they really benefit from that afternoon shade. If you live in a warmer climate though, and you know that you have a lot of sunshine, it's really hard to get that afternoon shade, you might want to plant a hydrangea in your garden that's more like the limelight hydrangea or like the smooth hydrangeas, because they can just take the heat a lot easier than the mophead hydrangeas. And I'll show you what my limelight looks like that's planted in full sun. So let's take a walk back here. You can kind of see them towering over the garden. I've got one right here. There's two of them back there, and then like a third giant mama one back there. And they do great in full sun. So I'll show you what that looks like. So guys, this is what my limelight hydrangea looks like. It's August, and we had a really huge heat wave here in New Jersey this year. We didn't get a lot of rain over the past couple weeks, and it's still looking spectacular. So it takes a lot to kind of burn up those limelight hydrangea blooms. They could just take the heat a lot better. And if you don't have the space in your garden for, you know, the limelight hydrangea, because they do get really, really big, they have a variety from proven winners called Little Lime, and it's a more compact version of the limelight hydrangea, and it just will fit better in smaller gardens or in like smaller landscaping. And I want to show you what my Annabelle hydrangeas look like. They also do really, really well if you have a lot of sun exposure. So if you have more than 6 to 8 hours of sun exposure, you might choose the Annabelle or the limelight.
This is what my Annabelle hydrangeas look like. They start off that white creamy color, then they turn to the beautiful lime green. You could tell the flower heads are super heavy though, so sometimes they flop a little bit, but they are getting basically full sun in this location, and you could tell they're not burning up.
These are actually Incrediball. So Annabelle hydrangea and Incrediball are both known as smooth hydrangeas. And smooth hydrangeas do really, really well with some of that extra sun exposure. So some of these get between 6 to 8 hours of sunlight, but other ones that are in the middle and don't have like the shade of the tree above them, these guys get between like 10 and 12 hours of sun exposure. And they're still going strong. They're still looking great. They're not burning up. They actually dried out on the stem like this in this beautiful lime green color. They started out as a poofy white color, and now they're doing great. So it takes a lot to burn up your smooth hydrangeas and your limelight panicle hydrangeas. So those do best with more sun exposure. But for the most part, if you have the choice, I would plant the limelights, the smooth, the mophead hydrangeas, any kind of panicles like the limelight. I would prefer to have them in 6 to 8 hours of that morning sun and then the afternoon shade, because what's going to happen is they're going to wind up drying out on the stem just a lot more beautiful, and you're not going to have to worry about them burning up in case you get those really, really super hot summer days. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for joining us in this video, and please say hi to us over on my Cranberry Fields Instagram page. You can also find us on TikTok, and I made a whole bunch of podcasts for you. You can find those wherever you listen to your podcast. And please also let me know where you're viewing this from in this great, big, beautiful world. I love to see how our flower tribe is growing around the globe each week. Also check out our Kelly Lehman's Flower Tribe Facebook group, because there's thousands of gardeners from all over the world, and they're asking and answering loads of garden questions over there. And know that YouTube has allowed me to have a super thanks button attached to this channel. And if you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee or let us know if you appreciate these videos, that would be terrific. Or you could just give us a like or a comment below. I would appreciate that. And I will see you guys in the next video.